The day started like any other for 16-year-old Emma, a budding artist with a heart full of dreams and a determination to carve out her place in the world. She was no stranger to adversity, and her journey was anything but ordinary. Emma had spent months honing her craft, pouring her soul into every painting she created. Her vibrant pieces, full of life and emotion, were her voice in a world where she often felt unheard. Emma's father had passed when she was just 5 years old, and she has just her mother, Sherry, and her baby brother, who is 13 years old. She wanted to support her mother, who is a single mom, and her little brother, Jossie. Every weekend, Emma set up her modest art stand on the bustling city streets. It wasn't the best location, just a corner near a coffee shop where passers-by rarely stopped. Despite her lack of professional equipment or fancy displays, she arranged her paintings neatly, adding small handwritten notes describing the inspiration behind each piece. But as much as Emma's work radiated warmth, her experiences were often cold and unforgiving. Every day, a group of teenagers from her school would stroll by, hurling insults and laughing at her. "Look at her," one of them sneered. "She thinks she's Picasso or something. Who's going to buy this junk?" Their mocking laughter echoed in Emma's ears. But she gritted her teeth and held her ground. Each taunt chipped away at her confidence, but it couldn't extinguish her passion. Her art was her escape, her way of coping with a world that often seemed harsh and unforgiving. One crisp Saturday morning, Emma stood by her little stand, her paintings catching the morning sunlight. She smiled hopefully at the crowd, holding on to the belief that someone would see the value in her work. Hours passed, and while a few people glanced at her art, no one stopped to buy anything. By noon, her tormentors arrived, as they always did. They circled her stand, pointing at her paintings with exaggerated gestures. "Wow, so deep," one mocked, pretending to admire a piece. "How much for this masterpiece?" "Oh wait, never mind. I wouldn't take it if you paid me." Emma felt her cheeks burn with humiliation, but she refused to let them see her break. As the group laughed and moved away, Emma's shoulders sagged. She looked down at her hands, which were trembling slightly, and took a deep breath. She thought of her mom, who worked tirelessly to support her and her younger brother. They didn't have much, but her mom always encouraged her to follow her dreams. Not only was Emma mocked and bullied by these teens, but also there was a man too who bullied Emma by telling her to stop constituting nuisance on the streets with her low-quality paintings. That afternoon the crowd thinned and Emma considered packing up. But just as she reached for her bag, a tall man in his mid-40s approached her stand. He wore a simple suit, his hair peppered with gray, and a pair of round glasses perched on his nose. There was a calm authority about him, and something in his gaze told Emma he wasn't just another passerby. The man leaned down to examine one of her paintings, a vibrant depiction of a cityscape at sunset. "This is extraordinary," he murmured, his voice rich with sincerity. Emma blinked, unsure if she'd heard him correctly. "Excuse me?" she said, her voice shaky. The man straightened and offered her a kind smile. "Did you paint this? The colors, the emotion? It's breathtaking. You have a rare gift." For a moment, Emma forgot how to speak. No one outside her family had ever complimented her art so genuinely. "Yes," she finally managed. "I did." The man continued to study her other pieces, nodding to himself as if confirming a theory. Then, he looked at Emma with a seriousness that made her heart skip a beat. "I'd like to buy everything," he said simply. Emma stared at him, stunned. "Everything?" she repeated, as though the word were foreign. "Yes, every single painting. I'll pay your asking price for each, and then some." The words didn't register immediately. She'd imagined selling out her collection before, but in her daydreams, it was always after years of struggle and recognition. This felt surreal. The man pulled out a business card and handed it to her. When Emma read the name, her jaw dropped. He was a renowned artist, someone whose work was displayed in galleries worldwide. "Why would you want my paintings?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. The man smiled warmly. "Because they speak to me. Your talent reminds me of myself at your age. But more importantly, I see your courage. It's not easy to put yourself out there, especially in a world that doesn't always appreciate young dreamers. I want to help you succeed." Tears welled up in Emma's eyes. For the first time in a long while, she felt seen. not just for her art, but for the person she was. As the man made arrangements to collect the paintings, Emma's tormentors returned, their laughter cutting through the air like knives. "Still here, Emma?" one of them called out. "Did anyone actually buy anything, or are you packing up your failures?" Before Emma could respond, the man turned to face them, his expression calm but firm. "Actually," he said, "I just bought her entire collection. And if you had even an ounce of the talent or courage she has, you might understand why." The teenagers froze, their smug grins replaced by shock. They mumbled something incoherent before slinking away, leaving Emma and the man in peace. That evening, Emma returned home with a heart full of gratitude and a renewed sense of purpose. She told her mom and her younger brother what had happened, how a man came around and bought all her collections. Her mom, Sherry's eyes were filled with tears. These were tears of joy. She had always prayed that Emma's dream of becoming a well-known artist should come to pass. The artist had not only bought her paintings, but also offered to mentor her, opening doors she'd never imagined possible. They all leaned on each other that evening and were happy for Emma. As Emma sat at her desk, sketching out a new idea, she realized something profound. Her journey was just beginning. And while the road ahead would have its challenges, she now had the strength and support to face them head-on. The next weekend, Emma's usual spot was empty. Not because she'd given up, but because her art was now being displayed in a local gallery, where it was admired by countless people. And as for the bullies, they never bothered her again. Though she sometimes saw them in the crowd at her exhibitions, their expressions a mix of awe and regret. Emma's story became a testament to resilience, proving that even in the face of ridicule, passion and determination could pave the way to something extraordinary. And for anyone who doubted their own dreams, her journey was a reminder that sometimes all it takes is one person to believe in you, and that person can make all the difference. Emma's rise from the street corner to the gallery walls wasn't just a personal victory. It became a symbol for dreamers everywhere. Her story spread like wildfire. Local newspapers picked it up first, framing her as the young artist who defied the odds. Soon, national outlets joined in, captivated by the tale of a teenage girl who turned a hostile street corner into a launch pad for her artistic journey. The famous artist, now her mentor, guided Emma through the intricacies of the art world. He helped her refine her technique and introduced her to influential figures who could further her career. But he also emphasized the importance of staying true to her roots. "Never forget why you started," he told her one evening as they worked on a collaborative piece in his studio. "Art is not just about talent, it's about heart. That's what sets you apart." Emma took his words to heart. Even as her fame grew, she remained humble, often returning to the same street corner where her journey began, not to sell her art, but to inspire others. She'd set up workshops for young artists in the area, offering them materials, guidance, and, most importantly, encouragement. One day, as Emma was conducting one of her workshops, she noticed a shy young boy lingering at the edge of the group. He was clutching a sketchbook, his eyes wide with curiosity but too nervous to step forward. Emma approached him gently. "Hi there," she said with a warm smile. "What's your name?" "David," he mumbled, barely meeting her gaze. "Do you like to draw, David?" she asked. He nodded, still clutching his sketchbook tightly. Emma knelt down to his level. "Can I see what you've got there?" Hesitantly, David handed her the sketchbook. Inside were intricate pencil drawings of animals, landscapes, and superheroes. Emma was stunned by the detail and emotion in his work. "These are amazing," she said sincerely. "You have so much talent, David. Would you like to join us?" David's eyes lit up, and for the first time, he smiled. Emma guided him into the group, and over time, he blossomed into one of the most promising young artists she had ever seen. As Emma continued to inspire others, her own career flourished. Her pieces were exhibited in galleries across the globe, each one telling a story of resilience, hope, and the human spirit. But for Emma, the real reward was knowing that her journey had made an impact far beyond the canvas. Years later, Emma stood on the stage of a grand art gala, accepting an award for her contributions to the art community. In her acceptance speech, she reflected on her journey. "There was a time," she began, "when I thought my art would never be seen, let alone appreciated. But I learned that every brushstroke, every color, every piece of my soul that I poured onto the canvas mattered. And while the world can be harsh, there are people out there who will see your light and help you shine. Her words resonated deeply with the audience, many of whom had followed her story from the very beginning. As she stepped off the stage, she was greeted by the artist who had once stopped at her humble stand and bought her entire collection. "I told you," he said with a proud smile, "the world needed your art." "And you were right," Emma replied, her voice filled with gratitude. "Thank you for seeing me when no one else did." Emma's journey from a bullied teen on a street corner to an internationally acclaimed artist was a testament to the power of perseverance and kindness. It was a story that inspired countless others to believe in their own dreams, no matter how impossible they seemed. And in the quiet moments, when Emma sat alone with her canvas and paintbrush, she would often think back to that pivotal day, the day someone believed in her, the day she decided to believe in herself, and the day her life changed forever. Emma's inspiring journey continued to unfold as her influence expanded beyond the art world. Her workshops evolved into a nonprofit organization called Canvas of Hope, dedicated to providing underprivileged youth with access to art supplies, mentorship, and platforms to showcase their talents. The organization's motto, "Every soul deserves a chance to shine," became a beacon of hope for aspiring artists worldwide. As her fame grew, the more Emma began receiving invitations to speak at schools, universities, and global conferences. Her story resonated not just with young artists, but with anyone who had faced adversity and dared to dream. She would often begin her talks by recounting her humble beginnings. "I remember standing on that street corner," she'd say, her voice tinged with emotion. "I wasn't just selling my art, I was selling pieces of my heart, hoping someone would see their value. And then, one day, someone did." Audiences were captivated by her authenticity and moved by her unwavering commitment to helping others. Emma's talks were more than motivational speeches. They were calls to action, urging people to support and uplift those around them. One particularly memorable moment came when Emma was invited to deliver a keynote address at an international art summit. Among the attendees were some of the most renowned artists, critics, and collectors in the world. As Emma shared her story, the room fell silent, her words striking a chord with every listener. After her speech, a young woman approached her. She was holding a small, weathered sketchbook, much like Emma's had been years ago. "Miss Carter," the woman said, her voice trembling, "your story saved my life. I was ready to give up on my art, but then I saw a video about you. You made me believe in myself again." Emma's eyes filled with tears as she hugged the young woman. "Never stop creating," she said softly. "Your art is a gift to the world." As the years went by, Emma's legacy only grew. Her artwork graced the walls of prestigious galleries, but she never forgot the streets where her journey began. She continued to visit her old neighborhood, hosting pop-up art events and encouraging young talents to pursue their dreams. One day, while setting up for one of these events, Emma noticed an older man watching from a distance. He seemed familiar, and as he approached, recognition dawned. It was the man who had bullied her all those years ago, mocking her for selling her art on the street. Time had softened his features, and there was a hint of remorse in his eyes. "Emma," he began hesitantly, I've followed your story. I see now how wrong I was. I just wanted to say I'm sorry." Emma regarded him for a moment, her heart filled with compassion. "Thank you," she said, her voice kind. "It takes courage to admit that. I've forgiven you a long time ago." The man nodded, visibly relieved. "You've done something incredible with your life. You're an inspiration." Emma smiled. "We all have the capacity to grow and change. That's what makes life beautiful." The encounter became another layer of Emma's story, a testament to the power of forgiveness and personal growth. As Emma neared her retirement, she reflected on her incredible journey. Her final major exhibition, titled From the Corner to the Stars, was a celebration of her life's work and the countless lives she had touched. The centerpiece was a painting she had created years ago, depicting her younger self on that street corner, surrounded by her paintings, with a faint outline of her future self watching over her. The exhibition drew visitors from all over the world, each one inspired by the story of a teenage girl who dared to dream and turned her challenges into triumphs. Emma's mother and brother, Sherry and Jossie, were so proud of the woman she had turned out to be. In the end, Emma's legacy wasn't just about her art, it was about the hope she instilled in others. Her journey proved that with determination, kindness, and a little help along the way, anyone could transform their dreams into reality. And her story, much like her art, would continue to inspire generations to come. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to Home of Stories TV. And do not forget to turn on the notification bell. Drop your comments below. Let us know your thoughts.